You are watching Xirtus.
There's two rules of thumb for me for health. Is there enough life force to power this appropriately? And where's the stagnation? Where's the energy not moving? Where are the organ systems not talking to one another? And I'm keeping it very physical because I know people can relate to this. So I'm talking about the body, but as you well know, this works far beyond just the identification of physicality or biochemistry. We're talking about the totality of the person. And so for me, I'm always intertwined when I'm treating someone, but I have a daily practice that involves 3 hours or more collectively of energetic exercises that will transform the remnants in me so I don't keep that from a person. And that's how it works in a nutshell. I connect, and because of who I am through cultivation, if I do my work, it gets better as I get older, not worse. I then take less time and less conscious effort. I just need to connect to you and let you entrain to what I have going on. And then your body goes, oh, we remember. Oh, that dude's got more chi than I have. We'll take some of that. And energy always flows to the lowest source. So then it goes from me to the client. Doesn't that drain you? Well, it can, but what did I just tell you a minute ago? I spend 3 hours or more a day of cultivating life force to have more than enough for myself to then share with somebody else. And that's just in a nutshell of what I do with people when I treat them. I have a treatment here coming up in a little bit after this, and that's what I'll do. It'll be her second session, and she has been identified as having a growth on her pancreas that looks highly suspicious. So when I worked on her, guess what happened? Did she have pain? She did. But guess what she did? She said, I wailed and cried. And I won't give away what it was about because somehow someone might connect that to who it is. I don't know how they do that, but I just keep it really general. She goes, but I bawled and I wailed. She goes, I'm glad my windows were closed because I worked on her pancreas, right? So that should tell everybody this is the stuff we're dealing with when we have dysfunction and illness. Again, I'm laying groundwork for some of the things that Rafi said, man, we might talk about these things. Well, I'm laying the groundwork for my position on what I think and have experienced about that. Because especially since last spring, I had a client I was treating, and through that experience, I had an activation inside of me of what he's Greek, he called it phos, which is light in Greek. I probably mutilated the pronunciation, so forgive me, all you Greek speakers out there. But that activation was rough. He goes, I can't even interact with this anymore. It's been in I think it's a familial thing that's been with us, this power that's been in my family. I can't interact with it because it burns me. That was the English word he chose. I said, how about this? Does it feel like it fried your nervous system? He goes, yeah, that. And so because of my preparation 20 years prior, I was able, it activated inside of me. And I'm like, well, dude, whatever you're talking about is happening in my body right now. And it felt like it was activating from top down. And after that, it has been a constant integration and growth of that activation since last spring. People, is that like Reiki? I've had Reiki treatments for the people. I've never taken Reiki myself, but I've had the treatments. No, this is not like Reiki. It's nothing like Reiki. It is very, very strong. It was moving from person to person I would speak to about it without me intending for it in the beginning. And then the activation was happening, of course, when I would intend it. And an entire moving me back into the history of Christianity took place, which I'm sure this is a direction you wouldn't think I'd be taking in this because I was done, man. I grew up in Baptist churches. I went non-denominational here in the Midwest. I then went into Orthodoxy, which is the original four mother churches of Christianity per Constantine and the councils of Nicaea. I went all the way back as far as you can go, and I was like, I'm done with that, baby. I've had all I wanted of that. I've had that cup. I'm done drinking from it. Didn't do much. That was just my experience. So you can imagine when I started having the history of the Gnostic, the groups, those early underground Christian groups that we now call Gnostics, when I started having my attention drawn back to that part of history, which I had not studied, I was like, why are you doing this? Because I was having conversations with this activation. I was like, why are you taking me back to the thing I left? I mean, this isn't
Well, you
exactly
got to
what I did,
remember
you know?
those are the, the difference being that like you studied first the groups that were killing and sacrificing and burning at the stake the groups, the Gnostic groups, that you're.
You got it. You got it.
They were kind of at odds,
They were definitely at odds. They were that's all we knew of the Gnostic groups before 1945 and the Nag Hammadi discoveries. All we knew were what those who protested the Gnostic groups had written about them. That's how we knew the Valentinians existed, or the Sethians, because they had been written about by those who hated them and saw them as a threat. So here I am called back, and then what do I find? And I'm reading through all the writings of these groups that we have. Light, the light, the light, the light, the light. This is what Jesus really came to do. This is how we looked at him as a person who took this yin physical experience and took the yang eternal experience aspect of himself and combined them together for a perfect combination and harmonization of yang and yin, heaven and earth in harmony within us. And so that, if you guys see my stuff and you see Phoenix Force or Phoenix Force Gnostic Journey, Gnostic meaning gnosis, meaning knowledge from experience, that has been the chapter in my life that has been started since I was on this show last with Rafi, and it's been amazing. I'm just wrapping up my first ever Phoenix Force Gnostic Journey classwork, which was 8 weeks. I've taken it now to 9. I extended it 1 because we weren't done. And you never know till you have a class what's going to happen with students. Is it going to be a hit, a loss, somewhere in between? And people are having profound experiences, and these are people who are not new to the world of spiritual pursuit or energetic practice. A lot of them are veterans at it, and they're having unique experiences. And so for me, since the last time I was here with Rafi, that has been the major, huge shift in me and how I'm operating. And things in my life have yet caused more division or new divisions between myself and other people, meaning we don't match anymore. And then have drawn in other people who I might not have ever connected to before. So just in a quick nutshell, that's my background. That's where I am right now. And we can jump off that diving board at this point if you want to.
That's really interesting. So I know I've always thought about Manichaeism and Sethianism, Valentinianism. And, there's a number of good Gnostic, Bogomilism, and the darkness and the light is a big one. So with Manichaeism, you've got the separation of ether or everythingness into a dynamic. So that's where the dark and the light come from. And then the dark light tricks the dark into swallowing the light. So the light is inside of the darkness, but
Sophia.
Then it can shine through the darkness. How do you feel about darkness then, considering how you're talking about light in terms of this?
Well, yeah, and it's a great question. The overarching view I have is this is what probably went down. So you have the pleroma, right? The pleroma is the perfection, the perfect light, right? And all the aeons that sit within that, which are just emanations of the one. It's just this broadcasting of this perfect light of all light. And so the light goes, what do we not know? We don't know what separation feels like. All we know is oneness. Ooh, that's a cool project. What if we had an experiment with emanation and then a temporary amnesia? Yeah. We'll cut ourselves off and forget who we are. And then we can have the experience of finding our way back to that unity again. That would be cool. Yeah. Let's do it, baby. It's a great idea. And so then you have the story of Sophia, one of the aeons, and she births without her counterpart, the Christos, the Christ aspect. And so it's femininity, if you will. It's yin birthing without the yang. I don't have the sperm. All I have is the egg, but we'll do something with it. And then she births the Kanoma, this entire matrix. But within that, she births Yaldabaoth. She births the twisted one, or the ignorant one. And then everything else that emanates from that point is us. And no matter what interdimensional thing you might experience or describe under this umbrella, you have it just simply as an emanation within the matrix of this project. It's just a project. God, Keith, that sounds really cold, man. Are you suggesting that the one looks at all the suffering, all the pain that we go through and goes, you're just part of the experiment, lab rats? I don't think it's that kind of cold disconnect, but we don't want to also do anthropomorphic, somersaults here to try to make this overarching one be exactly like we are or operate like we are. We are an emanation of that, but we have differences. And so what do I think about darkness and light, the whole idea of these two together? Within the Konoma, the matrix, yes, it exists as part of the experiment. And yes, does Sophia trick her offspring at one point? Because Yaldabaoth goes, I'm looking through this thin veil here, but it's opaque enough, but yet I can't quite tell what's going up, and then the pleroma. But I think I could duplicate some of the stuff I'm seeing vaguely. So creates a humanoid figure, the second anthropos, right? Not the first anthropos, the perfection humanity in the heavens, but this Konoma version, and makes us and goes, my creation doesn't have life, it's dead. And Mama goes, hey baby, I got a suggestion for you. Why don't you just take this breath and blow that into your creation and watch what happens? All right. And sure enough, that anthropos starts to have life. But what does Yaldabaoth do? And all the archons that are his emanations looks at that life and goes, uh-oh, there's something going on inside of that creation that's brighter than we are. In fact, our light is a dim, false light in comparison to that spark in that anthropos. Screw this. And so we get shoved down to what they call the lower abyss, this place, into this form. And so this is our own personal living sentencing to prison for that in this model. And so what's our job here? Our job, the big overarching journey, is to recognize that divine spark that you are and start to overcome your amnesia, part of the plan, but overcome the amnesia in order then to use that as a beacon to spiritually find your way back to the pleroma and start to have a life that is truly full.